Marianne had always dreamed of a peaceful summer at her husband's farm, far from the hustle and bustle of the city. Though her husband, Andrew, was caring, his work had made him increasingly absent, leaving her often alone, surrounded by the rustic beauty of the countryside. Life on the farm was simple, but Marianne longed for something more vibrant and exciting. When she arrived at the farm, she expected rest and tranquility, but instead found herself navigating a minefield of hidden desires. As soon as Marianne met Ethan and Ryan, the atmosphere around her shifted. Ethan was a young worker with piercing eyes and a smile that lit up the room. His contagious energy made Marianne feel alive. Ryan, on the other hand, was more reserved, but his presence was equally magnetic. There was something about his deep, enigmatic gaze that inexplicably drew Marianne in. From the moment their eyes met, a palpable tension settled between them. Days passed, and Marianne began spending more time with the two young men under the guise of helping with farm chores. The summer heat seemed to amplify everything. The colors were more vibrant, the sounds more intense. Their conversations turned into subtle flirtations. Ethan often complimented her beauty and strength, while Ryan watched her with a gaze that seemed to uncover her deepest secret. With every shared laugh and accidental touch, the line between friendship and desire grew increasingly blurred. One afternoon, while everyone was working in the orchard, Ethan approached Marianne with a mischievous smile. He remarked how the sun's warmth made everything seem more beautiful and fun. As he said this, he lightly touched her arm, sending a shiver down her spine. That simple touch ignited a spark inside her that Marianne couldn't ignore. Her heart raced, and her breath quickened. The attraction between them grew daily. One clear evening, as everyone gathered around the fire pit, Ethan cracked a joke that elicited nervous laughter from those around. He leaned in close to Marianne, whispering a private joke meant just for her, making her stomach flutter with delight. His gaze was intense, as if it were peeling away layers of her soul. In that moment, Marianne realized she wasn't just physically drawn to Ethan, there was an emotional connection that left her feeling vulnerable. As the days went on, Marianne found herself daydreaming about Ethan and Ryan. At night, lying in bed next to her husband, she wondered what it would be like to be with them, to feel their lips on hers or their hands exploring her skin. These thoughts left her restless. She knew she was treading dangerous territory. It was on a hot afternoon that the point of no return was reached. Alone in the barn, helping Ethan organize tools, the air was thick with tension. She could feel the electricity crackling around them. Ethan approached her with a serious expression and said, "You're different from any woman I've ever met." His words were like a spell. Marianne stood frozen as he slowly leaned closer. The kiss was unexpected and overwhelming. Ethan's lips met hers with desperate urgency, as if all the pent-up desire had finally found release. Marianne hesitated for a brief moment before returning the kiss with fervor. It was as if every bottled-up emotion burst into flames. In that moment, the world around them vanished. There was no farm, no husband, just the two of them, locked in a passionate dance of mutual discovery. The kiss lasted until they both had to pull away for air. Reality came crashing back down on them like a cold bucket of water. Marianne knew she had crossed a dangerous line. From that day forward, the attraction between them became undeniable and intense. Every interaction was charged with sexual tension. Fleeting glances turned into accidental touches and whispers laden with meaning. Ryan began noticing the change in Marianne and Ethan's behavior, watching them with a curious and intrigued expression. Marianne tried to ignore what was happening, but the passion between her and Ethan grew like an impending storm. One evening, during dinner on the farmhouse veranda under the bright stars, Ethan made it a point to sit next to her. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, punctuated by laughter and subtle provocation. When dinner ended and everyone began to disperse, Ethan pulled Marianne aside under the pretense of showing her something interesting in the barn again. Her heart pounded as she realized where they were headed. She knew she couldn't resist much longer. In the dim, silent barn, Ethan turned to her with an intense gaze. "I can't stop thinking about you," he confessed quietly. His words were a confirmation of what they both already knew. There was something powerful between them that couldn't be ignored. Marianne met his eyes and felt her body respond to his proximity. It was as if all the accumulated desire was about to erupt once again. Without thinking, she threw herself into his arms. Their lips met in another fiery kiss that seemed to stretch into eternity. The kiss quickly escalated into something far more intense. Ethan's hands roamed her body as she felt his warmth envelop her. Once again, the world outside disappeared. Only they existed in that moment, consumed by forbidden passion. But such passion came at a steep price. Marianne knew this deep down. As she surrendered to Ethan's embrace on that warm night under the stars, she also knew she was setting into motion a chain of events that would change their lives forever. The initial attraction had given way to a devastating emotional betrayal, but it had also awakened something dormant within her, a longing for freedom and authenticity that challenged all the social conventions she had adhered to until then. In the days following their first passionate kiss in the barn, everything changed on the farm. Marianne felt torn between two worlds, the safe home with her husband and the intoxicating new reality represented by Ethan and Ryan. Every time she saw the young workers during the day, her heart raced. Every accidental touch felt charged with electricity. Ethan grew bolder in his romantic advances, frequently finding subtle ways to stay close to her, offering help with chores or simply appearing wherever she happened to be. Each interaction left Marianne even more conflicted about her true feelings. Meanwhile, Ryan began to show a different kind of interest in Marianne. He started asking personal questions about her life and dreams, creating a space where she could share her insecurities and hidden desires. The emotional connection with Ryan deepened as her physical attraction to Ethan burned brighter. One sunny afternoon, as they worked together in the fields, Ryan paused to admire the flowers around them and remarked, "Nature is incredible, isn't it? It reminds us of the beauty in simple things." His comment made Marianne reflect on her own life. There was so much beauty around her that she wasn't fully appreciating because of the monotony of her daily routine. Marianne smiled at Ryan, pondering his thoughtful words. That casual conversation stirred complex feelings within her about love and freedom, feelings that were constantly challenged by Ethan's intense presence in her life. That same evening, during a family dinner on the farmhouse veranda under the sparkling stars, tension hung in the air as both Ethan and Ryan vied for Marianne's attention through friendly but loaded provocations. It was clear to everyone present that something special was unfolding between the three, but no one dared to speak openly about it. As the days passed, their interactions grew increasingly charged with emotion, culminating in a decisive night when everyone gathered again in the barn after an exhausting day. The dim lights created an intimate atmosphere, and laughter echoed through the fresh night air. Ethan, emboldened by the moment, took Marianne's hand and pulled her into a slow dance under the stars, while Ryan watched with a satisfied smile. It was as though that moment would last forever, their bodies moving in perfect harmony, their exchanged glances speaking volumes without the need for words. Marianne felt entirely enveloped by the soft music playing in the background as they danced. The warmth of their bodies so close made her heart race even faster. In that crucial moment, she realized just how far she had come from the quiet summer she had initially envisioned. She was now caught in a complex web woven by her passionate desire for two incredible men. When they finally stopped to catch their breath after dancing for some time, Ethan looked deeply into her eyes again. "I want you," he whispered softly. Those words echoed within her like an irresistible call, an open invitation to explore everything they had begun together. Marianne hesitated only briefly before responding, "And I want you too." The outside world faded once more as they fell into each other's arms. Their fiery kisses quickly consumed the space around them. Every touch seemed to ignite their forbidden passion even further. Ryan watched silently from a distance, his own tumultuous feelings bubbling inside him. He wanted to be part of that intense connection but also respected the space needed for Marianne and Ethan to explore their genuine feeling. The tension in the air was palpable. That night, under the same brilliant stars where everything had started, Marianne fully surrendered herself to the arms of the two young workers. It was a risky decision but a necessary one to discover who she truly was beyond the expectations imposed by society. As their bodies intertwined in the barn's darkness, it became clear to all present, to love is to take risks. And sometimes, we must lose ourselves completely before finding our true selves again. The story of Marianne's initial attraction to the young workers became an intense journey filled with profound emotional discovery. Each day brought new challenges as they navigated the complexities of forbidden love, but it also revealed infinite possibilities for those willing to risk everything for genuine desire. In the days following that unforgettable night, Marianne realized how transformative the experience had been. The initial attraction had led not only to emotional betrayal but also to personal liberation. She finally understood that living fully meant embracing all facets of love, even those deemed socially unacceptable. Now free from her previous emotional constraints, Marianne was ready to embrace this exciting new phase of her life, where she could freely explore who she truly was without fear of the consequences. And so began her journey towards self-discovery, fueled by a passionate love for life itself.